The landscape surrounding Queensland's Beaudesert Shire is vast and unforgiving. It is a rugged stretch of Australian terrain that feels entirely isolated from the modern world. Cutting through that untamed environment is the geometric profile of St. John the Evangelist Anglican Church. Built from rigid sandstone, it stands in direct opposition to the wild brush around it. The structure's most imposing feature is its bell tower. It looms over the property, casting long shadows across the grounds below in complete silence. When grand architecture is dropped into the middle of nowhere, it rarely remains a simple building. Over generations, these isolated structures inevitably become blank canvases for local folklore. The physical presence of the church serves as a psychological anchor, holding the weight of a tragedy that the community could never fully process in the light of day. Here at St. John's, that weight takes the form of the woman in black, a ghostly figure rumored to wander the perimeter of the churchyard after dark. According to the legend, she doesn't speak. She stands motionless in the shadows, slowly raising an arm to point directly toward the bell tower. Paranormal rumors like this rarely materialize out of thin air. They act as protective layers over real, unsettling events that have slipped out of living memory. If you actually want to understand what the woman in black is pointing at, looking up at the tower won't help you. The answer requires looking down, directly into the earth. We have to decode the hard data left behind, and that means reading the inscriptions carved into the stones of the Mundoolun Cemetery. Mundoolun Cemetery serves as the primary archival footprint for the early settlers of the Tambourine district. It is a permanent ledger of the people who built the town. Scanning the graves, a clear demographic pattern emerges. The same family names, Collins, Fraser, Ball, appear repeatedly, mapping out multi-generational households. The lifespans etched into the rock document the slow, predictable rhythms of agricultural life. People were born, worked the land for decades, and passed away in their 70s or 80s. When you plot out these dates across the whole cemetery, the distribution of deaths is scattered. You see a natural, gradual progression over many decades. In a quiet farming district, the dates should stay staggered. A sudden, concentrated cluster of deaths indicates the immediate aftermath of a catastrophe. This timeline charts community mortality. The line stays flat across the early 1900s until a sharp vertical spike hits on December 13, 1913. Zooming into the base data reveals 3 victims: 45-year-old Lavinia Henderson and teenage daughters Jessie and Elsie. The Henderson monument leaves no ambiguity. All 3 were killed by accidental drowning. A 4th data point drops into the 1913 cluster. Dorice Wilcox died alongside the Hendersons in the same incident. This stillness starkly contrasts the physical reality at Tambourine. 4 women were caught in a violent, chaotic struggle against the current. None made it out. Regional newspapers immediately broadcast the severity. Headlines went out across Queensland, detailing the terrible drowning tragedy, losing 4 lives in one afternoon. Within hours, the generational continuity of the Henderson and Wilcox families was permanently erased. The gravestones document the dead, but they also track the people left behind. The Henderson family plot reveals the path of Lavinia's husband, Alfred William Campagna Henderson. The inscription beneath his family's names lists his own date of death as December 7, 1937. He was 78 years old. That simple date carries an immense psychological weight. Alfred lived for 24 years, completely alone after his wife and both daughters were taken on a single day. Across the cemetery, Walter and Ada Wilcox faced a similar reality. They were forced to navigate the rest of their natural lives without their only daughter. The true scale of a disaster like Tambourine is not contained to the afternoon it happens. It is measured by the decades of silent, daily endurance required of the surviving families. Re-examining the legend of the woman in black through this historical trauma reveals the logic behind the myth. In 1913, the only way to summon help across the isolated bush was to ring the church bell. A legend of a woman pointing to a silent tower captures the trauma of a call for help that was never answered, transforming an ocean of mass grief into a permanent, towering monument. Analyzing the cemetery records restores the humanity of Lavinia, Jessie, Elsie, and Dorice. They are no longer marginalized as mere folklore, but remembered for the actual lives they lived.